You know, this sort of reminded me of that. Do you remember that brilliant book by the superb writer Agatha Christie, At Bertram's Hotel? Remember that? I loved it because it was a world, obviously, that I'd been in while I was a sort of out of work thespian, as I often say. For many people who watch my channel on a regular basis, well, no, this is what, variety, vaudeville, sort of actors, that sort of stuff. That's what we did when we couldn't get any work. And I was always fascinated as to how hotels operated. They had wealth, not so wealthy, all coming in through those doors with all their own individual stories. And that's really was a bit of theatre for me. But what happened the other day, I wanted to share with you, our chums, because it's really important if you're coming over here to the very heart of the United Kingdom, London. Let me explain. Good to see you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Lovely to have your company. You know, what I often do, if I'm honest, when I'm out and about in London, I know so many hotels that, you can go in and literally just sit in the foyer, keep out the bad weather, keep warm, all that sort of stuff, and literally observe life. Don't you see it all in? Oh, absolutely. You know, the rich, the wealthy, the non so wealthy, the ones that think they're wealthy. And then, of course, the first timers that feel like they can treat staff quite badly. Oh, yes, I've seen them all in my time. And I think that's particularly why I enjoy sort of sitting there, A brilliant writer, a good friend of mine, actually, the wonderful Alan Bennett, told me that he used to love sitting up in hotels in the north and literally picking up the same thing. Victoria Wood told me that. And of course, you do hear so many stuff. This is why this is more important today now than ever. You see, the other day I was in a central London hotel, literally hiding from bad weather like this, right? And I was away from the reception area. I was a floor up, but voices travel up, right? And what happened was I heard this particular conversation. And it is really, it's worrying to say the least, because as many people know, crime is rife over here in the United Kingdom right now. And this particular phone call happened to the main reception. The receptionist dealt with it, to the very best that she could, a very young girl. But the story really literally unfolded simply because the guest had had their suitcase stolen, all the while checking in. And this really had, they wanted the CCTV footage. It was literally all coming out and rising up. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating. What's gone on? Anyway, to go to long story short, the first thing I would point out to you is this: do not leave sight of your luggage when you're checking in. And the reason how this happens and how these thieves are doing it on a regular basis is simply this. Those four-wheel things that we now haul, well, I don't have them, but the four-wheel things. Because it's noisy, they're very silent, and they can just quickly move them away from behind you and wheel them out the door and straight into a waiting cab. This is what they're doing, particularly in very rich hotels where they feel that you may have things like digital iPads in their watches, jewelry, that sort of stuff. But what emerged was this. Yeah, well, yes, because apparently this had happened in this hotel 7 times over literally 10 days. And basically, as the receptionist was telling her manager, she was trying to defend herself, basically saying, I told him it wasn't our fault and he should look after his own luggage. She said nothing of the sort. I heard the whole conversation, but of course trying to protect her job. But more importantly, as she also pointed out, and so did the manager, well, we don't have a concierge here. It's up to the guests to look after themselves. So as hotels literally diminish the staff service that's on offer, and what truly emerged from this story was, in fact, nobody was checking in. He was struggling trying to do, the self-check-in on those screens, the sort of thing that we all loathe. And that's how he became distracted. From what I could surmise from this particular story, the gentleman in question, along with his wife, were of a certain years, I think over 60. And he was pushing ahead for the police to take hold. She said she would pass the message on to the manager. She did, and that all literally quickly was swept away. The reason why I'm sharing it is be careful, be vigilant, because literally you're on your own. And as I've often said here on the show, this man, Sadiq Khan, is doing nothing to protect crime here in London. So when you check in, make sure you check out that your luggage is directly in front of you, including, ladies, any bags that you have over your shoulders with zips. Always happy to share. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.